Star number 1, George Burns, the eternal comedian who laughed past 100. If you can make people laugh, age becomes just a number. That wasn't just a quote. It was George Burns' life philosophy. Born in 1896 in a poor Jewish family in New York, George began working young, shining shoes and selling newspapers. But it was his sharp wit and love for humor that pulled him towards showbiz. Teaming up with his wife, Gracie Allen, he conquered radio, film, and eventually television. His humor was dry, clever, and timeless, much like his legacy. But George Burns' story didn't slow with age. At 80, he won an Academy Award. At 90, he was still performing live. He planned a show for his 100th birthday in Las Vegas, which sadly he didn't live to perform. But even in death, he brought smiles. Passion and humor can carry you far beyond retirement. George proved that if your heart is alive, so is your spark. Number 2, Bob Hope, the man who made the world laugh for a century. A day without laughter is a day wasted. Born in 1903 in London and raised in the US, Bob Hope became America's favorite entertainer. From vaudeville to television, he dominated comedy for over 70 years. But what made him a legend wasn't just punchlines, it was his devotion to US troops. From World War II to the Gulf War, Bob performed in war zones, bringing joy to soldiers when they needed it most. He kept cracking jokes and appearing on television well into his 90s. He turned 100 in 2003, celebrated by presidents and the public alike. Humor heals and connects. Bob Hope proved that joy is a form of service, and it keeps you young. Gloria Stewart, the Titanic comeback queen at 87. It's never too late to live your dream. Born in 1910, Gloria Stewart was a Hollywood beauty of the 1930s. Then she quietly disappeared from the screen, becoming a painter, writer, and mother. But destiny had a twist. In 1997, at 87 years old, she returned in the role of Old Rose in Titanic. Her emotional storytelling became the soul of the movie, and she was nominated for an Oscar, making history. She continued giving interviews and attending events well into her 90s, eventually passing away at 100. Age is never a barrier to success. Gloria proved that dreams don't expire, they wait for you. Patricia Morrison, Broadway's grand dame who never retired. Born in 1915, Patricia Morrison had a voice and presence that commanded attention. She made her mark in classic Broadway, most notably in Kiss Me, Kate. Though she appeared in films, the stage was her true home. Even in her 90s, she was giving interviews, singing, and inspiring young artists. She lived until 103, passing away in 2018. When you love your art, age becomes irrelevant. Patricia proved the stage can give you life, if you give it your heart. Norman Lloyd, Hollywood's quiet powerhouse. Born in 1914 and living till 106, Norman Lloyd was one of Hollywood's longest-living actors, and one of its most respected. From Alfred Hitchcock's Saboteur, 1942, to TV shows like St. Elsewhere, he had a career that spanned 9 decades. Still acting at 100, he appeared in Trainwreck, 2015, proving that age was never an excuse to slow down. You don't have to be loud to leave a lasting impact. Norman showed that quiet brilliance goes a long way. Ruthie Thompson, Disney's hidden genius, who lived to 111. Animation isn't just art, it's magic that moves. Born in 1910, Ruthie Thompson was one of the first women in animation. She joined Walt Disney Studios and worked on Snow White, Fantasia, Sleeping Beauty, and many more. She was a technical director, mastering complex camera and visual effects long before it was common for women to lead. Even at 108, she gave interviews, inspired young animators, and attended Disney events. She passed away in 2021 at 111 years old. A living archive of animation history. Glynis Johns, the iconic Mary Poppins mom who lived to 100. With her gentle voice and elegant grace, Glynis Johns captured hearts in Mary Poppins as the suffragette mother. Born in 1923, Glynis starred in over 80 films, including The Court Jester and While You Were Sleeping. On stage, she won a Tony Award and performed Stephen Sondheim's classic Send in the Clowns. She lived privately in her final years and passed away in January 2024, shortly after turning 100. Faye McKenzie, silent era's princess who lived to 101. Back when films had no sound, our faces did all the talking. Born in 1918, Faye McKenzie appeared in her first film at just 10 months old. She starred in numerous silent and Western films, especially opposite cowboy singer Gene Autry. Though she retired young, she remained active in storytelling, interviews, and film history preservation. She passed away in 2019, leaving behind a legacy that began before sound and lasted over a century. Frank M. Thomas wasn't a household name like Bogart or Gable, but he was one of the quiet giants of early Hollywood, a man whose face you've probably seen without knowing his name. Born on July 13, 1889, in the heart of the Victorian era, Frank entered the world just as cinema was about to be born. By the time the film industry began to take shape, he was already on stage, perfecting his craft in live theater. He transitioned to Hollywood with ease, appearing in over 75 films from the 1930s to the 1950s. His roles were often those of reliable doctors, judges, fathers, or military men, the kind of parts that required quiet dignity and strength. Some of his notable appearances include Meet John Doe, 1941, Destry Rides Again, 1939, The Grapes of Wrath, 1940. But Frank wasn't just an actor. He was a steady pillar in the changing tides of the film industry. While many stars faded, Frank adapted, evolved, and remained a respected presence across decades. He passed away in 1989, just days before his 100th birthday, having witnessed nearly every major transformation in cinema, from silent films to Technicolor, from radio plays to television. I wanted to give our kids a hero who looked like them. Herb Jeffries was more than just a singer, actor, and performer. He was a pioneer, a trailblazer, and a man far ahead of his time. Born on September 24, 1913, in Detroit, Michigan, Herb was of mixed heritage, African American, Irish, French, and Italian, and proudly embraced his Black identity, especially in an industry that often erased or sidelined people of color. At a time when Hollywood gave no space to Black heroes in Westerns, Herb Jeffries made his own. In the 1930s, he became Hollywood's first Black singing cowboy, starring in all-Black Westerns like Harlem on the Prairie, Two-Gun Man from Harlem, The Bronze Buckaroo. Wearing a white Stetson and riding tall in the saddle, he gave Black audiences something they'd never seen before: a Western hero who looked like them, strong, kind, and fearless. But Jeffries wasn't just an actor. He was also a smooth baritone jazz singer, performing with Duke Ellington's orchestra and later enjoying a solo music career. His voice was rich, romantic, and unforgettable. Through the decades, he remained active, performing well into his 80s, giving interviews into his 90s, and always advocating for diversity in the arts. He passed away in 2014 at the age of 100, having lived through a century of change and helping shape that change with his art, courage, and vision. These incredible stars didn't just live long lives, they lived meaningful ones. From laughter to legacy, from courage to creativity, they taught us that age is not a limit, it's a journey. Which one of these legends inspired you the most? Tell us in the comments below, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Like this video. If you believe age is just a number, share it to honor these timeless legends. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that celebrate life, legacy, and the stars we'll never forget. Until next time, keep their memories alive. And remember, legends never truly die. They live on in the stories we tell.